Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Antwork Masterclass on cybersecurity. This masterclass is kind of a regular feature at Antwork where we try to bring up the basics of a domain and especially focusing on the cybersecurity, right? So this is part of a series of masterclasses that we have been having, right? So today's class is more on your networking. So as you know that networking is kind of starting for any cybersecurity professional, right? And in itself it's also a very interesting and important and big domain, right? So wait, Sandeep, I can see something coming. Yeah, right. So that's why we thought of having a master class on networking itself, and there is no better person to take this class other than Sandeep. Sandeep has been a network engineer for almost 10 years now, more than 10 years now. Very long experience. And right, and so before I move further, I will just tell you a little bit about Antwork. So Antwork is an edtech platform, right? And in case if you visit our Antwork website, you will see that we have hosted lot of interviews or of professionals where they are talking about their own career journey, right? What kind of tools they use, what kind of issues they face in their day-to-day life, right? So that you can get a 360-degree view of a life of a cyber security professional or a network professional, right? Other than that, Antwork also conducts the boot camps on cyber security. Our 3 boot camps are already running, right? Fourth boot camp will be running from next month, right? So that's about Antwork. Please visit our website, also register on the website. So there you will be able to see also all the new events which are coming up, right? So let me also talk a bit about Sandeep. So Sandeep, can you move to your next screen? So Sandeep is a network engineer currently working with the Wooler, which is a German MNC. They have a very strong team here for their engineering. So almost all their cyber security and networking work is currently conducted from Bangalore, right? So Sandeep is a senior networking engineer in Wooler. Before that, he was a technology analyst at Infosys in their as a networking engineer in their NOC, right? And before that, he has worked at like a lot of companies like CPG, ISIS Technologies, right? And he has done all the certifications that are supposed to be done by a network security engineer, right? Which include CCIE SEC, CCNA R&S, CPISI, ITIL V3, right? So Sandeep will also be able to talk a bit about these certifications at the end of the program of this class in case if we have time. But I think Sandeep has a lot of things in his plate. He wants to talk a lot about very different aspects today. So in case if we have time, we will take few questions. But yes, so Sandeep, without any further ado, I would like you to start your class. Good luck, guys, and I hope everybody enjoys this class to its fullest. Right. Sandeep, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Ram, for your kind words. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to this class. And today, I think it's more or less about your switching, routing, and firewall introductions. I will try to bring some small of scenarios where we will be doing the live lab practical along with the theory so that it will be a very clear concept for you guys. So this is the agenda for today's class. We will be discussing about LAN, why we are building LAN in our office infrastructure, what do you get with that, how do you build this, and what are the devices you will get into, how do you configure those devices, how the packet flow happens. We will see each and everything one by one. So without any further delay, actually we wanted to launch some poll. Unfortunately, I think there's some technical stuff and Ram is working over that. Ram, when you're ready, let us know. Then we will conduct a small poll and in between that. Sure. So this poll is just all about to understand my audience, which area they are interested more, and then I will focus accordingly. Because if you talk about networking, it's a vast field. You will be having security, will be having switches, routers, and a lot of vendors, certifications. So we need to focus on the beginner level, then we'll go to one by one the configurations, filling the device, how the packet flow happens, understanding the terminology, topology, and yeah, that way we will proceed.
Sandeep, there somebody has messaged that the voice is little low. Is it possible for you to increase your voice a bit? From any control at your end?
Yeah, let me try.
For microphone, you can increase the level.
Yeah. I'm just trying there.
Sandeep, I think it's fine. I don't want to break anything in the class, right? So I think
yeah,
fine.
Sure. I'll just increase my system volume as well, so it should be fine to you. Okay, let me know if you can hear me correctly now. Is that fine? Can you hear me correctly?
I can hear you properly. Let's go ahead. I don't want to
sure.
Or experiment in between. Please go ahead.
All right, thanks, Ram. So guys, let's discuss about computer network. And we all know, since we all are coming from some experienced background, maybe you guys has seen this into your colleges, in your offices, how the LAN infrastructure there, and you would be familiar most of the devices. So it's just a formal overview about network. Like it consists with all kind of your IT equipments, like your let's say your mobile, your laptop, printer, your desktop, server, everything comes over the network, and only the media gets changed, whether it's wireless, but end of the day you can communicate to each and every device in your area, in your network. Question is, why do we use computer network? So it's obvious, like we need to share the resources of your offices. Let's say that your printers, there is a one printer, many guys want to give the printout. You can bring the printer to network and everyone can utilize this. File sharing, you want to share some official document, you can always access other computers' IP address, just paste their that file and the other person can access that. So it's a very obvious, the network benefits, like you can have file sharing benefits, printers you can share, media you can share, and you can access many servers like your database server, your AD server, many things. Your what is called media streaming server, your resource sharing, like if you want, let's say that you have some kind of hard disk which you want to, like other guys want to save their files to that your system hard disk, they can do the same thing there as well. Sort of classification description. So we all know that network comes into 4 different categories. So one is PAN, where you use your mobile hotspot, you connect to your laptop, it's nothing but PAN. Then anything and everything which is within 10-meter radius you connect with, it's all comes under PAN network. Local area network, again, it depends on the media, which media you're using. So if you're using any copper wire, then within the 100-meter radius, you can connect to your switches, and then you can start sharing your resources. So that comes under LAN network. Metropolitan area, let's say that in Bangalore, you have 2 different places, your office, and you want to communicate to each other. Then you can go through some media, some ISP provider, let's say Airtel, BSNL, and so on, and they can provide the connectivity, and then that way you can connect your offices together. The main and the wide area is WAN, which is called wide area network. So here you cross the geographical locations, like you can go with country-wise connectivities. You can access, let's say that like Google.com, Microsoft, and all. These all go through your wide area network. And in the other language, you are on internet. So internet comes under this category. So now the question is, what do we require for LAN building, and anything like let's say that you are in office, you want to build one small LAN, and you need these all equipments which are listed here. So the main basic equipment is switches, where you'll connect your devices through copper cable, and then you will start communicating to each other. But if you want to communicate to internet, you need some kind of router or firewall in between that. All right. OSI reference model, I'm not sure how many of you are aware about this, but I'm just considering that you guys are aware on this. You can put on the chat if there is any question you want to understand this OSI reference model. I can repeat it, but if you are aware, then I can proceed to the next slide. I'll just
Sandeep, I think we can introduce them for a bit, the main elements, because a lot of them are new to this topic.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Ram, for your input. So guys, can you just start putting over the chat and then any questions, and then we can address that in between that. So let me take you to my notepad. OSI reference model, we come with total 7 layers. We start always with, let's say that layer 7, and we call this as an application layer. What is this application layer all about? We go to, let's say that I am on Zoom, I'm on Google, and the interface where I'm typing this google.com comes under this application layer. So in that language, my Internet Explorer comes under application layer. My Google Chrome comes under application layer, right? Now, when you type google.com, it goes to your next layer called presentation layer. All right. What happens here is, let's say that I want to access google.com, and at the same time, I want to access something else. Let's say I want to access, I want to access Facebook or anything, any other site which you remember, you can do that. So if you see Facebook, it contains different syntax. I mean, it's coming in Kannada language at the moment, but you can see here Facebook is there, and the next tab I have google.com, which is having different syntax. And how these things are keeping in track, like why Google data is not coming in Facebook, why Facebook data is not going to google.com, who manages these things? And the answer is exactly the presentation layer. He takes care of all your MPEG, your let's say ASCII codes, and all this kind of format, what you font and all you're using, everything managed by this presentation layer. Your MP3, your MP4, everything. This handled by presentation layer. So he will not do mistake. It will send your Google data to Google, your Facebook data to Facebook. Okay. Now come back to session layer. Session layer, why do we require session? Let's say that your laptop, and here you have Google server. You are communicating to Google server, and Google server will be sending all its data to you. So when you're typing get google.com, this message will go to Google, and Google will respond you back with their homepage. These particular things communicate under one session. Like you will build one session with the server at the initial, then your traffic will be flow with that. Okay. So without any session building, you cannot communicate with your server. You cannot communicate with any of the server, whether it's Facebook, Google, or something. Neither your server will send any data to you back. So this session is very important to understand that I am connected to an end user and he is sending getgoogle.com homepage. He's requesting the homepage and I'm replying it back. And that comes under the session layer. So once you do not demand anything, let's say that you are accessing any bank portal and you see that after some time you will get inactive or automatically log out. So it means that your session is teared down. Automatically you will be closed with the session fully if you do not do any kind of activity on that page. Okay, we call this ideal timeout. So these all things session will be tearing down if it will not sense any kind of data flowing into that. All right, then session will provide the data to presentation layer. Presentation layer knows who to feed that data, facebook.com tab or google.com tab. All right. So I was coming from top to down. So you requested google.com. It came to presentation layer. So presentation layer provided this to session layer. Session layer told, okay, I do not have anything. I just have get google.com. Let me hand over this packet or this raw data to next layer, which is called transport layer. Sorry, something happened. Okay, looks like some problem. I'll just remove this and I'll put it again. Sorry for that. Okay, so I was on application layer, presentation layer, and then I discussed about session layer. Now I'll go back to my layer 6 is presentation layer, layer 5 is session layer. Now I'll go back to layer 4. Session layer says, hey, I want to access google.com. Can you just help me in that? And he will hand over this information to transport layer. This transport layer, like you know that transport means what? It will carry your goods, your luggage from it will prepare your vehicle and then it will send that vehicle to one location to other location. Transport layer exactly do the same thing. All the raw data, it will put under one enclosure. And this enclosure from here onward, we started calling as datagram. Okay, so your payloads are ready. That's enclosed into one parcel. We call this datagram. Now, I need to write some address on that, right? Until unless you cannot send this parcel to your destination. So who will write this address? Who will write this address? That is not the part of transport layer. Transport guy will say, hey, I have enclosed the parcel. Now it's your duty to write the address. And he will communicate this with the next layer called network layer. Now network layer will be having responsibility to write the address over that. Okay. What kind of address? So I have datagram ready with me. Now I have to pass this to network layer. Now network layer, what will do that? He will put another enclosure top of that. And here he will type source IP of your local computer where you are accessing google.com. And source IP, let's say, let me see, what is my source IP? How do I know? I'll just go to CMD, type ipconfig. Okay. If you go here, you will see your local computer IP address. What is your IP address? 192.168.1.8. And where do I write this? I will write exactly here under in front of source IP. .192.168.1.8. So I know my address. Where do I send this packet? And that is called destination IP. Where should I send this packet? That address is called your destination IP address. And what is my destination IP address? Google.com, because I want to access Google page. Once this enclosure is ready, where you have noted down your local address, your destination address, this enclosure is called packet. Now, packet is ready by network layer on the layer 3. And next, he will hand over this packet to layer 2. Who is layer 2? That name is data link layer. Now, what is the role of data link layer? He received the packet. Okay. On the top of packet, he will add one more enclosure. We call this encapsulation. What is this encapsulation happens? Again, he will write the address. What kind of address? MAC address. Source MAC address and destination MAC address. Now, what is this MAC address? MAC address is nothing but it's the physical address of your NIC card. So if you go back to my laptop, do you see this something called it should be ipconfig/all to get the MAC address. Do you see something called physical address here? 0A 0A-00-2700. So this is called physical address. Now, what is this physical address? This physical address is nothing but hard-coded MAC address, or let's say that some identification address on your NIC card. When you buy, let's say, server, laptop, computer, anything, it comes with one inbuilt NIC card. What is NIC card? Where we connect our cable, our LAN cable. We call this copper LAN cable, patch card. So that NIC card will be having address, and each NIC card has its own unique MAC address. You cannot change that with the hardware format. There are some way you can do the changes in the software, but that's different story on very less occasion. But for your information, you cannot change this hard-coded MAC addresses. And source MAC address is my PC MAC address, which I just shown you. 0A something 00 something. So it will be 6 octet. Then you go back to destination MAC. What should be my destination MAC? It is the MAC address of google.com, because you want to go to Google. And this complete enclosure is called encapsulation. Now, encapsulation is ready at layer 2, and this packet will be now handed over to the last layer. We call this physical layer. All right. Now, what physical layer will do? So this physical layer will split all these to 0, 1, 0, 1, because your computer will only understand bits language. 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, right? So many pieces he will do. And then it will put this to your copper wire. Now, how this 0, 1 will travel to this copper wire? If there is a voltage flowing in this copper wire, it consider 1. Other side computer will consider 1. Like you are switching on the torch. So when you see the torch light, you will you note down 1. When you next moment you see off your torch, then you consider 0. Again torch light 1, off 0, like that. So same way, if there is a voltage, it will consider 1. If there is no voltage, it will consider 0, and that's how it will calculate back on other side computer. It will get back this encapsulation again. So this is how the flow happens when you start browsing google.com. Any question, guys? I think there are some chats.
Yeah, Sandeep, there is one question, why is OSI model required in computer systems?
Very good question. So let me answer to this first. As I mentioned you, we need switches, we need, let's say that router, networking devices. Let's say that let's say that RAM started manufacturing a switch. It's very demanded in the market. People are buying this. He is getting a lot of money. By seeing this, I will also start manufacturing my switch. Okay. But when I want, when a end user will buy RAM switch also and my switch also, and he wants to communicate both the switches, both are manufactured in different standard. They cannot communicate to each other. Who is the loser then? Your end user is the loser because he bought both the switches. I got my money, Ram got his money, but who is this loser? This end user, because he cannot able to communicate to both of the devices. So IEEE, and there are many such organizations, they came up with an open standard which can be adopted by any vendor. And it was said that you need to follow these 7 layers if you want to build any switch, so that your device can communicate to other vendor device, because even he is following these 7 layers. He is using the same protocol, whatever protocol are being used in each and every layer. What has been defined? TCP/IP. These all protocol suites should be used by each and every vendor, so that they can communicate to each other. So if any end user will buy RAM switch or my switch, they can still communicate to each other without any problem. Okay. Now the question is why he should buy two different vendors devices? Because of cost. Maybe RAM device is more costly. He can use this for high-end servers connectivity. My switches are lower cost. He can use for his desktop connectivity, the end user's desktop connectivity purpose. But end of the day, my switch has to communicate to RAM switch so that these users can communicate to server. And if they are built into different standard, they cannot communicate until unless they are following the same standard. And who will drive this standard? This OSI reference model. So that's the reason we have OSI reference model into the system, so that each and every vendor will follow this and they can communicate to each other. You got it? Now RAM is nothing but Cisco vendor, and Sandeep is nothing but, let's say, HP vendor. So they are the vendor who manufacture switches. There are many in the market, and people used to adopt them, depends on their requirement. But if they will be communicating to each other only, and only reason if they are following this OSI reference model. Hope I have answered your question.
Yes, Sandeep, let's move to next. Otherwise, we'll not complete the session, right? So, guys, we are keeping it a little bit simple, right? There are a lot of questions which are coming, which I think require more in-depth, session. So this session we are keeping, considering a lot of people have come and they will, want to understand the basics, right? So, yeah, I can see that there's some questions around the TCP/IP also, and all those things we will not be able to cover in this session, right? So, Sandeep, probably we can move to the next session.
All right. Yeah, so if you can see here, that's the reason I mentioned, like, your switch comes under data link layer, Router comes under network layer. This is very important to know because network layer, when you talk about, you will be dealing with IP addresses. When you talk about switches, you are more and more dealing with the data link layer, where you mention MAC addresses into that. I was talking to you some time back about NIC card, which are having hard-coded MAC address or physical address into that. So this is the NIC card. You can see their network interface card is the full name of that. And then you have RJ45 connected cables, which will go and connect to this NIC card. All right. So this is how it connectivity happens. Again, this is the segment which I was mentioning to you so that datagram, which is nothing but we are calling here segments. Then segment again enclosed by packets. Then again that packets enclosed by that encapsulation. We call this frame on the data link layer. All right. So referring to this point, which I have mentioned you at the moment, transport layer, it will have the raw data enclosed into this. We call this datagram. We call this segment. Then again, it goes to layer 3, where this segment again enclosed. We call this packet. And then on the layer 2, it goes again, it encapsulated, and we call this encapsulation as frame. And who deal with this frame? Switch. Okay. Who deal with this packet? Router. And your segments or layer 4 is dealt by your router as well as your firewall. How and where I will show you in the next scenario. Clear? Let me move to next. So guys, that's very important in networking field. If you know about IP addressing, I'll keep it very short because there are many aspects in network in IP addressing, but I will just keep it short, just a brief, so that you aware what is IP addressing. I know many of you are aware about that, but let's keep it simple. So if you remember on the layer 3, when I was talking to you, source IP address MAC and destination IP address, what is this IP address all about? Why I am talking about IP address? So each and every device in the network, okay, when it connects to switch, it needs a logical address to communicate to other device. And this logical address, we call this as a IP address. Let's say in this forum, I can call Ram. So I hope others will not respond, but Ram will respond to that. Because he knows, he is aware that that is his name. Same way, if this guy call, hey, Mr. A, I want to talk to you. So only Mr. A will respond. No other guys will respond to this. So each and everyone needs a name to communicate to each other. And that's where this logical address came into the picture. Now, there are 5 classes of IP addresses divided. Okay. We call this class A, class B, class C, class D, and class E. Class A means there is a IP ranges. Let's say that it starts with 0, it's end with 127. Class B is start with 128, it's end with 191. Class C 192, it's end with 223. Then 224, 240, and 239, and then 240 till 256, 255. So in that way, you can say your IP addresses range always start with 0, it's go till 255. And that's the way it gives you total, how many IP addresses? 256 numbers. Agree with me? Now, that's I understand. I'm talking about something 0, 255, but where exactly I should assign? What is the format of IP address? So the IP format should be always, let's say that x dot x dot x dot x, means it will be divided in 4 octet. 1, 2, 3, 4. And each octet, it can be like 0.0.0.0, 1.1, 1.1.1, like that, 255.255.255.255. So this way, your very first IP address is in the network this, and the very last IP address is this. And in between that, all IP addresses, they are divided into these segments. So if you start with, and always you see this, I'm referring this only first octet here in this range. So if I want to see 10.10.10.7, can you tell me which class it will fall under? Obviously, it is between this range. I'm only going to see this first octet, guys. So this falling under this range, and that's why it is class A IP address. Question: 173.16.1.6. Can anyone tell me which class it is falling? Quickly, pick up this first octet, check which range it is falling. It is falling under class B. It means it is class B IP address. Okay, I think Ram, there are some questions.
No, everybody has replied that it's a class. Guys, please, reply to everyone so that we can see your answers.
Yes. Okay, so in this scenario, if I go with 192.168.1.5, can anyone tell me which class this will fall under? Okay, it's not so tricky. It's just C192. You can see this range, and it's falling under class C. Now come back to my slide. Okay, so if you see here, my one computer is having IP 192.168.1.1. Other computer is having 192.168.1.3. Can they communicate to each other? They can communicate to each other. Why? Because they are into same class, right? So in my case, 192.168.1.1 can communicate to 192.168.1.2 because it is having same class of IP address. Which class? Class C. But there is another trick. Class C is nothing but, it says that there is a rule. You need to see all these three octets must be same to communicate to each other. Last octet can be changed, but these three should be same. Then only they will be able to talk to each other. So in that case, if I tell my computer IP address 192.168.1.5 and RAM computer IP address 192.168.2.6, will they communicate? No. Why? Because my rule is not matching that. The first three octets should be same because this guy is not same. So when this three should be same, we call this network bits. We call this network bits. And the last one octet, we call this host bits. Or let's say the host octet. So last one, which will be keep changing each device wise, it will be called host. But the starting three which need to be same, we call this network octet. And it could be any class you take. This rule is applied there as well. So if I go to class B, let's say that 172.16.1.5 and 172.16.1.6, will they communicate? So here network bits will be only 2. In class C, how many network octets there? 1, 2, 3. And what is the rule? Network octet should be same for 2 IP addresses to communicate. So the last octet can be different, no problem. That is host bits. I don't bother. What is the IP address here? What is IP address here? I don't bother. My only concern is these 3 octets should be same because they are network octet. Same way for class B, how many network octet there? This. And how many host octet? This and this. So any IP address to communicate to each other in the same segment, they should have the same class of IP addresses. Okay. Question. Can 192.168.1.6 communicate to different class of IP address? This is class C, this is class B. Can they communicate? No. Why? Because it is having 3 network octet, this is having only 2 network, and they both are not same. The network octet should be same to communicate to each other, which is not in this case. Then they will not able to communicate to each other in general. But if you want to communicate to each other, you need a router here in middle. And that's the function of the router, guys. Okay. You need some kind of routing device or layer 3 device. Let's be more specific. Layer 3 device, guys. I need a layer 3 device to communicate these 2 different subnets to talk to each other. Why I'm telling the different subnets? Because their network address are different. It's not same. So they are in different subnet. This guy is in different subnet. And they cannot talk to each other. Why? Because they are not having the same network addresses to each other. Then what should I do? I should buy some L3 device in middle. Okay. Hope I'm clear here. So in this scenario, which I'm showing you, I'll show you this lab as well. I have 2 PCs connected to 1 switch. I have given 192.168.1.2. Other PC I have given 192.168.1.3, and they can communicate to each other. Why? Because they are in class C, and class C means their 3 octets should be matching. The first 3 octets belong to network and they should be same. So 192.168.1, it is same in both the IP addresses. And that's the reason they can communicate to each other. Let's go back to practical quickly. So this is a simulator software I have. I'll pull down a switch. Let's say I have a L3 switch here. Sorry, I have a switch. Let's rename this proper. I have a virtual PC here. I'll take up another PC. So guys, I have 2 PC. I have 1 switch. I just shown you in my topology. I'm going to do the connectivity. I'll connect to this 1 port of the switch. Switch another port will connect to this PC. And this is how my LAN topology, the physical topology is completed. Okay. I want to see which all ports they are connected with, so I can see it here. Okay. Now, when the switch boots, how it looks like, what all the things happens here. Let me show you this quickly. So any physical switch, any hardware switch, when you boot up powered on, okay, it will go with the post process. In this post process, like even if you boot your laptop, desktop, everything go with post process. Power on self test. What is the full form of post? Power on self test. It will test itself whether my all components are in place or not. Is there any malfunctioning? Let's say your keyboard is not connected to your desktop. It will show you keyboard error. It is not connected. How it will come to know? With the post process. Same way, this switch will also do the post process. It will check each and every port interface and it will notify you if there is any malfunctioning. Okay, you can see here all the license, your which model, which version you are using, everything you can see here. Okay, so my switch is booting, guys. Meanwhile, I just wanted you to show how it boots, what are the information you get during the booting. So we'll wait for some time because it's a slow process. Okay, now it will show you all the informations. Your ports are down state by default. You need to bring it up and everything, like how many ports there, what is the status. So you can see this by default, it's showing this port is up 0/0. These two ports are up. Okay, and then again rest all will go down. At the beginning it will test everything with the up, and then it will start showing them down. Why? Because there is no anything connectivity. Okay, I'm into switch. I want to see how many interfaces I have. So I'll put show IP interface brief. This is the command which will list out all the interfaces in your switch. Can you see already these two interfaces are up? Why they are up? Because I have connected my PC here. Okay. Now I want to configure the IP address to this PC. Let me go to PC. Okay, I'll go to PC. I will type IP. What IP I want to give? 192.168.1.1. And there is a subnet mask. Okay, I just put enter. Now it is checking if there is any device having the same IP address or not. And that's where it is saying checking duplicate IP address. Now it has taken IP address. You want to verify? Type show IP. You can say here. It is taken 192.168.1.1. Now I'll go to the PC2. Very simple to assign the IP address. Just you need to go here and type IP. Then what IP you want to assign? In my case, I want to assign 192.168.1.2. And the subnet mask. Again, it's verifying. Is there any duplicate IP address? It did not get any duplicate IP address. Means no one else in this network using this IP address. And then it will assign this IP address to the PC. You can verify always what IP I have. I have 192.168.1.2. Okay. Now, question: can I ping PC2 to PC1? What is the IP address I have given here? 192.168.1.1. What IP address I have given here? 192.168.1.2. Can I ping? Let's verify. Ping 192.168.1.1. 1.1 is whose IP? PC1 IP. And you are able to ping. Are you seeing this? Someone is replying you back. Reply from 192.168.1.1. It means that PC1 is saying, hey, I am there. My IP address 192.168.1.1. Now I'll go back to PC1. I want to see, can I ping PC2? What is PC2 IP address? 192.168.1.1, 1.2. Let's see. I'm on PC1. Sorry. Yeah. Check, verify your IP. You just saw you have IP 192.168.1.1. Whom you are going to ping? PC2. What is the IP? 192.168.1.2. And how you will ping? Simple. Just type ping, ping 192.168.1.2. Your remote PC. And what is coming? Who is replying? Replying from 192.168.1.2. And this is the way I can say my local area network is up and running. Simple, very simple. You did not do anything. What you did, just you went and configure PC1 IP, PC2 IP. But what you did same class of IP and same 192.168.1. This network octet you kept same. What did you change? Only the last octet. What is the last octet? It's the host octet. They can be changed. So like that, if you connect third PC, it should be 1.3. If you connect fourth PC, it should be 1.4, and so on. Up to where? Up to 254. Why not 255? I mentioned you the range starts from 0 to 255. Why did not I give 255, the last IP to the host? Why? Because this is called broadcast. Yes, Ram. Ram, your mic.
No, nothing. Please go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So this is the reason I can give IP address to any of my LAN PC. Starts from 192.168.1.1 up to 192.168.1.254. Why I cannot give 255? Because that used for broadcast. What is broadcast? Means I want to communicate. Let's say that 192.168.1.2 wants to communicate to 1.3. He is not aware where this guy is located. Then he will send a broadcast IP address to which destination? 192.168.1.255. What is the message it will carry? I am looking for the guy who has IP address 192.168.1.3. Please reply back. And the broadcast will go to all the systems who are connected to the switches. So in this forum, let's say, hey Ram, if you can hear me, can you just wave your hand? Ram, can you wave your hand? Yes. So who is replying me? It's Ram. No one else. Other 98 guys not replying me back because they are not Ram. So this broadcast, the announcement what I did is called broadcasting. Okay. And it should be always on some IP address, and that is where every octet, every subnet will keep the last IP address for broadcasting purpose. All right. Then next question. I said it starts with 0. It goes to till 255. Why did not I include 0 for giving IP address to any PC? I cannot give 0 to any PC because this is the ID number, network ID. We call this identification number. So in that case, if I want to mention 192.168.1.0, this is what my network identification. I will tell I am using in my LAN 192.168.1.0, this subnet, and I will start assigning IP to the PCs 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 up to 254. Okay, example, let's say that I don't understand this 1.0, 1.254. Can you show me in practical if my PC is accepting that IP or not? Your PC will not also accept 1.0 because he is intelligent. Okay. So let's go back to example. I don't know if this will work, but let me try. Where should I give the IP address? In TCP IP version 4. Okay. Let me put IP address 192.168.1.0 and I put 255.255.0.0. What error I'm getting, guys? This is invalid IP address. I cannot assign 0. So your computer is also intelligent. If you do mistake, your computer will give you warning. 1.0 is network ID. You cannot assign this to any host, any computer. Can I assign 255? Because I told this is broadcast IP. No, I am again getting the warning. So I have only option. I can either assign from 1, it is taken. See. So your IP address always starts with host IP address 1.1. Okay. And you can assign up to 254 because 0 and 255 you cannot assign. Okay. It has taken now. Okay. If you want, you can verify here. No, it did not accept because it's the loopback IP address. Okay. So you can see I have given this IP address at the moment 172.16.16.1 and it has taken that IP. But anything and everything, if you start with the network ID or broadcast ID, it will not accept. Clear, guys? Okay. So this is what the lab which I shown you. They are able to communicate to each other. Now, little tricky. Are you ready for that? I'm going to talk to you some more in depth networking. This is the basic networking, LKG. I'm going to take you to now first standard. So if you guys ready, pay attention. If not, then you can listen music. Okay, come back. So I have given you this IP address, subnet mask, everything I have explained to you. First octet, second octet, third octet should be same. They are called network address and the fourth octet is host. And this is what the lab I just shown you. Now I'll take you to the virtual address. Let's say that you are in your office, okay? And your manager comes. He says, hey, I have 2 different departments. You connected one switch, okay? You connected HR PC, you connected finance guy PC, you connected a data entry guy PC in the same switch. Now, I have all his salary mentioned here, my MD salary also there in my PC, and he can see this everything. Okay? Can you block this? What you will say? No, in that case, I need a separate switch. Then he will say, sorry, I cannot afford. We don't have budget. Can you do something in this switch itself? Then you will go back to Cisco documentations and you will come to know you can divide this logically to 2 different parts. A single switch can be divided logically to many parts as such. And we call this logic VLAN. Virtual LAN means I am splitting my switch into different logical switch. And each logical switch will act as a separate switch. So if, let's say that, I still did not understand what I mean by this logical. Let's say you may ask this question to me. I did not understand what you're telling. What does logical mean? I have these all ports in my switch. I will bundle together these 4 switches into, let's say, one logical group. Another 4 ports of the switch into another logical group. Another 4 ports of the switches into another logical group. And I'll give some number to that. Logical group number 1, logical group number 2, logical group number 3. Now, whatever PC you are connecting to one logical group, they can only talk to each other. If a PC you connect to logical group 3, this guy cannot communicate to this PC. In spite of same physical switch, they cannot cross the boundary, the logical boundary which you created. And this is the beauty. This is the beauty of a managed switch. Now, what is this managed switch? A switch comes into market 2 kind of, managed and unmanaged. A managed switch where you can create a logical groups into that, or in other language, you create VLANs. You can manage that switch, but a unmanaged switch, you cannot create VLAN into that. It's a plain switch. Just go connect all the PC, they will all will talk to each other. You cannot have any kind of control. All right. Now, this VLAN, the logical group, how do we create? How do we segregate this all ports? I'm going to show you that in the lab practically. Once you have practical knowledge, you will understand theory. So I told you the requirement. Why do I need VLAN, logical group? Because my IT team or my HR team doesn't want to communicate to my finance team. My finance guys should not see what is saved in HR system. You are going to protect each department's data from each other, but you do not want to invest anything, and that you can achieve with this. Okay, come back to this. I have already switched on. I can see my PC1, PC2 can communicate. Now I'm going to split this. PC1 should be into different VLAN logical group. PC2 should be in different logical group. I am going to give logical group name VLAN 10. I am going to give name here VLAN 20. But one more twist here. You cannot keep same subnet IP address if there is a different VLANs. Same subnet will be only work with the same VLAN. If there is a VLAN change, you must change your subnets as well. It's not difficult to me. I can quickly change here 192.168.2.2. Okay. And now I will configure it here. Let's do that. Which port I'm going to configure in VLAN 10? G0/0. So IP interface brief will give me all the interfaces it has, and G is nothing but gig Ethernet. For doing any configuration, you need to go to global configuration mode, config T. Interface, get into, now you are into sub configuration mode. And what is the sub configuration? Interface sub configuration mode, IF. Can you see? Interface sub configuration mode. Now, whatever changes you are going to do, that's going to apply to this interface only. Okay. I'm going to mention switch port mode access and switch port access VLAN. I'm going to mention which VLAN? 10. Now I have brought this particular port into VLAN number 10. I want to verify how. The command is show VLAN. Do you see anywhere VLAN 10 mentioned here? Yes. Look at here. You have VLAN 10. Down to the VLAN, you have VLAN number. If you want to give some fancy name to this, you can give to some fancy name. Let's say that VLAN 10 is there for my HR department. I'll go to VLAN 10. I'll give some name. Let's say HR department. Check it again. What name you got? HR department. For which VLAN? VLAN 10. All right. Now I need to configure another port, which is G0/1 to which VLAN? VLAN 20. Let's do that. Right. What is the command? Switch port mode access. Switch port access VLAN 20. All right. Now these two interfaces are two different VLANs. Check it again. So VLAN. Do you see now VLAN 20 is created here? Okay. I want to give some name. Let's say that finance department. What should be the name? Finance department. Verify again. What is the command? So VLAN. Now you can see VLAN 20 belongs to finance. VLAN 10 belongs to HR department. But you remember I said you that each VLAN needs to be into different subnet. You cannot keep in the same subnet. So VLAN 10 already there in 192.168.1.1. I just need to change this guy PC2 to 192.168.2.2. How do I change? I go here and type IP 192.168.2.2 and subnet mask. Okay. Verify. What IP I have? 192.168.2.2. Can they communicate to each other? Sometime back it was communicating. Can they communicate now? With testing, they cannot communicate. What you are getting? Host unreachable. Okay, you say, you can tell me, you changed the IP address and you told me in the beginning that 3 network octets should be same to communicate. Now here 192.168.1, here 192.168.2. So if you change your first logic itself telling that they cannot communicate, then why you are going with VLAN? Okay, then I can change back to 192.168.1.2 back. Now tell me whether they will communicate. Sorry.
No extra 6 is there.
Yeah. Right. I have given back this 192.168.1.2. So IP. Can you check it? Now my PC1 is having 192.168.1.1. My PC2 is having 192.168.1.2. Now they are into the same subnet. Now they will be able to ping each other or not? Let's try. Sometime back it was. No. Why? Because you have logically segregated the switch. Okay. So they are not able to communicate to each other. So irrespective whether you are having of same subnet or other subnet, as soon as you divide these two logically two different VLAN, they cannot communicate to each other. But the standard says that if you are on the VLAN 10 or any other VLAN, keep the one subnet. If you are on different VLAN, keep the different subnet. Why? Why I want to keep two different subnets? Tomorrow, if your manager come and says, HR wants to talk, HR PC wants to talk to IT PC, but do not want to talk to finance PC. Can you do it? So this kind of scenario you can play if you have each VLAN different IP subnets. Okay. And you can verify here. Which all ports belong to which all VLANs. So VLAN, if you type, you can come to know. Can you see? 0.0 belongs to VLAN 10. 0.1 belongs to VLAN 20. Okay, so I think this is what all you do in the switch, in a layer 2 switch. You create VLANs, you make your department separates. If you want to communicate between two different departments, they need to go to L3 device, and from there you can do the routing. But that's different funda. It needs a lot of time. I cannot explain in 30 minutes that routing and all. But this is switch. This is all about switch. On local area network, you need these all topology dissolve mechanism to do. All right. Ram, I think router and firewall I cannot cover in next 30 minutes also, because see, explaining is I can explain, but if it will not reach to the audience, then no use. So maybe you can propose some other class, some other seminar, and then we can discuss again.
Sure, Sandeep. I think we will then keep it for, in case if we don't have time today, we can keep it for next weekend.
Yeah.
Right? I think people will be fine with it. Yeah, we will keep it for next weekend, Sandeep. Right?
I just want to take a feedback. If guys, you understood anything, any question, come back to me. I can explain till here any question you have.
Guys, so we'll keep this session for next weekend also, when we are going to deal more with respect to your routers and your firewall. This session has taken more than what we had expected, because Sandeep is trying to cover it very slowly and make sure that everybody's understanding. So we will have it next weekend also. In case any question, please write in on your chat box. We will use next 10 or 15 minutes to answer your questions. Guys, thank you is fine. We can do the thank you at the end of the session. Please write your questions.
Yes, Satish, we can do that if it is managed switch. Okay, there's a very nice question just it went up by Verlekar. Sorry, Sachin. Let's say Sachin. Question is very nice. What you asked, and that's the advanced version of switch. We call this L3 switch. You can do that. I could show you now itself, but I need some time for that. Or if Ram allow me for the next 20 minutes, I can take that Sachin question.
Sandeep, we can take it next class in case we have time.
Yeah. So Sachin, just to give you a small brief, you can convert a switch from L2 to L3, means layer 2 to layer 3, where you can just execute a command IP routing. You need to create SVI interface and assign one IP address of each VLANs into that, and then they can communicate to each other. Okay, you can even go with the transport layer if you want to play with access list. You can block ports, communication port wise and all, you can do that. Practically, I cannot show you now, but yeah, definitely for next class.
So Sandeep, there was one question from one person, right? PM Vega. Right? Can you explain switching taking one frame example?
Yeah. So generally, your let's say that switch works with layer 2 with the frames, and frame is nothing but your MAC address. So any switch, if you talk about L2 switch, it will work. Let me pull the next page and show you. Yeah. So let's say that you connected one PC here and one PC here, and it has MAC address A.B.C.D, and this is having E.F.G.H, and this PC A wants to communicate to PC B, and this is the switch. When it will send the packet, okay. When your layer 7, from layer 7, that data segments will come to packets will come to data link layer. Data link layer will look for the MAC address of source. Okay. Then it will, since you are sending the packet, you know your own MAC address. What is that? A.B.C.D. But you are not aware about this MAC address because you have never communicated to this guy. So destination MAC address, again, here also you can do broadcast. F broadcasting you can do, which with just F you mention. This is called MAC broadcasting. Now this packet, this frame will reach to switch. Switch is very smart. Immediately it will see that you have, this G0/0 port learning this MAC address. And immediately it will build one table. We call this as a MAC address table. And it will note down G0/0 is having MAC address A.B.C.D. It will do, switch will do without telling you. And then where should I send this frame? It will send to broadcast. So whatever the ports is connected, it will send that broadcast. Now, other guy, this one. So frame, I was talking to you about frame. Let me recap quickly. So Mr. A is having this MAC address, A.B.C.D. And Mr. A wants to communicate to Mr. B. He will construct or encapsulate the frame with this source address, but MAC address, destination MAC address is broadcast MAC address. The packet, the frame will reach to switch. Switch will see that this particular MAC address is learning on this G0/0. Immediately, switch will note down this information, and that is called MAC table in the switch. And then it will broadcast. When the frame will reach to Mr. B, Mr. B will see that, okay, this particular packet is for me. And then Mr. B will reply back to A. But that communication is called unicast. Why? Because Mr. B is aware now who is Mr. A, what is the MAC address of Mr. A. So when Mr. B will reply back to Mr. A, now this destination MAC will change back to A.B.C.D, and this will be the source MAC address of Mr. B, E.F.G.H. Why? Because this is being constructed by Mr. B. So his source MAC address will become now E.F.G.H, and destination MAC will be A.B.C.D. And once this frame will reach to the switch what will do? Immediately note down 0/1, I learn E.F.G.H. And now this frame will, now switch will look at the destination. What is the destination? A.B.C.D. And then it will look at the MAC table. I have this A.B.C.D. It is on this particular interface. And then it will easily send this packet to Mr. A on G0/0. And this is how the frame flow. Hope I have answered. You understood? If not, let me know, please. Ram, any questions?
Yes, Sandeep, I think probably we can take one more question. So there's one question around, what is the difference between the TCP/IP and OSI model? I think we can explain in brief.
Yes, OSI reference model, as I was showing you that, just a moment. Yeah. So when you're talking about layer 4, the transport layer, let's say that you are sending some parcel from Bangalore to, let's say that Ahmedabad. Okay, how do you know whether your courier, the courier which you send, is delivered to Ahmedabad or not? You need some kind of acknowledgement, right? If you not get acknowledgement, you never come to know whether this parcel has been reached to Ahmedabad or not. Maybe this guy has taken to his home. You are more concerned about your parcel because that's valuable, and you are looking for acknowledgement. Exactly, this is what done by TCP. When you send any packet, transport layer, you will tell to transport layer, hey, I'm looking for some acknowledgement. Means this parcel should be delivered with reliability, reliable format. It should be delivered. I want our acknowledgement back to me. So this guy, PCA, will send the packet to PCB with TCP format in layer 4. Then layer 4, our transport layer, as soon as delivered back to the packet or segment to PCB, it will reply you back that your parcel, your segment is delivered to Mr. B. And this is called TCP, Transmission Control Protocol. What if you are not looking for any acknowledgement? Let's say that I'm talking to Ram, I'm talking to you guys. Right now, I don't bother whether you are able to hear me or not. I keep telling. This is called unreliable communication, UDP, where I'm not looking for any acknowledgement. Am I asking acknowledgement to you guys? Can you hear me in each sentence? No. I'm keep telling my words. Okay, if somebody is not listening, that guy is putting in the chat, I'm not able to hear. But what communication I'm doing is unreliable communication. So voice always comes under unreliable. And that courier guy who used to take this traffic is called UDP. But if I want to access google.com or facebook.com, and if my internet is down, I will get page cannot be displayed. This is called TCP communication. You are notifying back that your delivery could not reach to the destination. There is a problem. Page cannot be displayed. This is your reliable communication. Okay, you need acknowledgement back. Hope I have answered the question. Yes, Ajaz, you're right.
Okay, Sandeep, I think we are reaching 12:30 now, right? Because we have another boot camp also, which is on SQL after this, right? Probably we'll, so guys, everybody who has registered, when we had reached out to you for this class, we'll send you also the mail for the next class, which will happen on next Saturday, right? So let's meet next Saturday for next part of this session. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot for your time. I hope you really enjoyed this session. Yeah. Sandeep, thanks a lot for you also.
Thank you, Ram. Thanks, guys. It was nice. You were very obedient. You were very patient. You listened till the end. And I hope you have received something from me. Yeah. If any question, you can always write back to Ram. I think there is a email ID, and then we can address in our next sessions.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.